Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Modern Customer Podcast. I'm your host, Blake Morgan. Today, my guest is Gadi Shamia, who is the co founder and CEO of Replicant. Since 2017, Replicant has been executing on its vision to enable AI agents and human agents to work side by side to provide personalized, empathetic, helpful customer service without anyone having to wait on hold. Replicant's AI contact center agents can speak and listen to callers just like a human agent and resolve up to 80% of customer inquiries without human involvement. Replicant was among the first to deploy conversational AI at enterprise scale, and today its clients include companies like AAA, DoorDash, Fanatics, and more. Today, we are talking about AI, customer experience, how to level up the game of your contact center, and so much more on the future of the contact center and AI's role in creating efficiencies and better customer experiences. Please enjoy Gadi Shamia. Gadi, welcome to the Modern Customer Podcast. It's so nice to see you today. Where are you calling in from?
Glad to be here. I'm in New York, in a little office, and behind me, a little blurry, is my entire team.
Where in New York are you? I didn't know that.
Chelsea.
Oh my goodness. I used to live for 5 years, like 20 blocks north in what is called Hell's Kitchen. I don't know if they still call it that, but
It's
so
local
nice
health
to.
kitchen, and it's a great place to live in. It's trendy and nice.
So you have been in the industry for such a long time. We were just chatting before we hit record about your prior role and how it really made it obvious that there was this opportunity to improve the tech stack and continue building AI. Can you just tell my listeners and viewers a little bit about your background before we jump into it?
Yeah, and I wouldn't bore anyone with, 30 years of this and that, but the relevant background is that I spent the last decade in the contact center space. I joined a company called TalkDesk when it was a little baby with 20 employees in a small office in Mountain View as a chief operating officer, and left the company it was already a unicorn with 500 employees and global customers. And TalkDesk, for the few here that don't know, is one of the leaders in the contact center as a service space, and one of the innovators in bringing the contact center to the browser. And what was pretty apparent during my work at TalkDesk was that we did a really good job solving for the problem of connecting agents to customers. But what we haven't done is solving the underlying issue, which most contact centers have, which is it's pretty hard to hire, train, schedule, engage, and retain agents. So we end up having conversation with customers that often sound like, okay, your software is great. I love the new feature you're building. Let's move on. Can you help me with agents? And no, we have a software that works when you have agents. This is our agreement. We give software, you give agent. And a lot of it led to the creation of Replicant, because the idea was, can we relieve the pressure from the agents by start taking away the most mundane and a little less mundane calls from them, so they can really focus on the important calls and contacts. And that was the beginning of Replicant.
Okay, love that. I mean, just hearing you talk about anytime someone's been in the contact center space for like 20 years, I'm just like, you're my people. I get really excited. Let's talk about what's happening now, what's trending now with AI. I mean, the contact center space has had no shortage of challenges for the last 20, 30 years. It seems like now we're actually able to solve some of these challenges. Can you talk about how Replicant works and how it solves challenges?
Yeah, we're in the beginning of this beginning. Honestly, we just finished the first part of the beginning, and we're starting the second part of the beginning. And it's I know it's very confusing, but let's talk a bit about the history here. I think that a lot of people are jaded by the first chatbots of 2015, and even what came out of 2020, and after that. People built things, they call them AI. They were not AI. They were decision trees that turn people right and left, whether they say yes or no, and create a pretty bad customer experience. And a lot of the success, quote unquote, of the chatbot of 2015, 16, 17 was that, again, the underlying issues are still the same. No one have enough agents. People are looking for anything that can help them reduce the load from their agents. Now, why do I say we're at the beginning of the beginning? As early as 2020, I'll give you a true story. DoorDash came to us and say, "Hey, we have this massive issue where we place tens of thousands of outbound calls to restaurants making complex food orders. We do it with agents in the Philippines, and it's the middle of the night for them. They make a lot of mistakes, and it's almost impossible to schedule enough agents because most people order food at exactly 6:26 in the afternoon, or in the evening because that's the dinner rush, and we can just never schedule enough agents for this to speak. Can you automate it for us?" And of course, we said yes. We're a young startup, and we jump on that, and we ever since automated probably 30 million of these calls. So the technology is available and allows us today to automate a lot of different call flows. The reality is that for many customers, there's still some fear and concern about what will be the impact of that, and part of our job is to dispel this fear. So what we are building, and maybe this is, I start with a story and I talk about what we do. We build an AI platform that have two sides to it. It works with is provide AI agents that can automate a lot of the tier one, and we're getting into even tier two customer service calls. And on the other side, we have an intelligence layer that listen to all agents' calls and get business insights out of it, but also is a next generation QA and training platform for agents. The idea behind it is that AI will now automate the majority of tier one calls and maybe some of the tier two. So you're going to need your agents to be trained differently. They will need to be much smarter, much more sophisticated. And rather than training them to be robots and follow the script, the next generation type of training should be how to be flexible in conversation, how to address things, how to be much more conversational. Actually, how to do what we do now versus following a script, and score high that people are able to flexibly converse with customers to resolve their issues versus saying the right script at the right time.
This is something that a lot of my clients have been interested in. Like, how can our agents be more socially flexible? Like you said, how can they cross sell? How can they engage with the customer to create more loyalty? And it just seems like the industry for so long, the contact center is just not of interest to the C-suite. Are you seeing a shift where now C-level executives want to pay more attention to the contact center, invest in things like agent retention and education? Are you seeing that now?
Yes and no. I think first we need to acknowledge the problem. The problem is that we as an industry asked the agents to be robots for way too long, and we did it because of cost. We did it exactly because the C-level CFO said we are going to grow 30% year over year, and you need to only grow 10% in your budget. So deal. And the way that the VP of customer service dealt with that was mostly outsourcing to even cheaper country. So if you do that, you have to constantly make your agents be more like robots, follow the script, say only the right things, and then the entire industry build QA tools and training tools that train you to be a better robot, rather than acknowledging the fact that human beings are inherently flexible and smart and creative, and we want to let them do this type of creative work, but we cannot do it in an environment where our contact center is 8,000 miles away in almost an opposite time zone in a country with a very different culture than ours. So that's the starting point we have. And if we don't change that, nothing will really matter. Now, answering your question directly, I think there's more focus about customer service in some companies. I don't think anybody in the C-suite really think about agents. I think that the VP of customer service, uh, they tend to think more about agents and how to upscale them. The CFO, the CEO, they just want efficiency and they're excited about AI, and they want to see how AI can help them. And I think that's the technology created the excitement much more than the need or the desire to provide customers better customer service create the excitement, which is the right way to look at it.
What do you think that our audience is missing when they think about a customer experience AI strategy? Like, if you had to, from scratch, create this customer experience AI strategy, where would you start?
I would start by, first of all, the first mistake people make is they don't believe it's real despite all evidence. There's a reason for that, because if you're going to make 100 calls to 100 contact centers today, you're unlikely to find even one that will take you through a fully automated call flow that will resolve an issue for you. Not like my balance is or route you. It's still early days, so they just don't have enough experience. Although if you talk with our customers, you'd hear phenomenal successes with 20 points increase in NPS, with 30-40% saving, cost saving, and actually with cutting agent attrition sometimes by more than half because they do more interesting work. So there's evidence, but it's almost a little bit isolated in the early adopters land and not really percolate to the rest. But answering the second part of your question, the way to start is not boil the ocean. A lot of people feel they need a long-term strategy. And I would say a long-term strategy can just be a very simple statement. In 3 years, I would like to have fewer agents, highly paid and sophisticated, that resolve complex tier 2 questions, and I want to automate my entire tier 1. That can be your strategy. But then the next step you need to do tomorrow is automate one call flow, which is high volume for yourself. Don't do the let's hire a consulting firm that analyzes all the calls and it will take them a year to give you a recommendation. Because by the time they give you the recommendations, you start working on them, the technology has shifted 3 times over and the recommendations are going to be stale. And this is very true for AI. I would not even spend 3 months to build tactical execution plan, because this is how fast this industry change. Pick one call flow, start automating it, take the success from there, automate the next one, automate the next one. Start thinking like a software company and iterate, instead of thinking like whatever company you are that maybe is a selling fashion and doesn't have to move as fast. If you choose AI, you're going to have to move fast.
So let's talk about the new product that you're launching, Conversation Intelligence. I think our listeners are really interested in what's new, what's happening, what's on the market. Tell us about Conversation Intelligence and what it is.
Yeah, so conversation intelligence is a product that leverage the latest in LLMs and large language models, what we call multimodal LLMs. And what multimodals do is that they instead of taking the audio stream as we talk now, transcribe it to text and then analyze the text without the extra signals that come from audio, they analyze the audio directly, and it's creates a whole different level of ability to understand a conversation, emotions, accents, mumbling, so many signals that they can get from the audio. But that's really just the underlying technical part of it. We have 3 goals with this product, and each one of them I think stand on its own. The first goal is we want to be this next generation QA system. Going back to what I said before, that the current systems in the market are really designed around the old agent that need to follow a script. So if you want to score high, using all the market leaders in the space today, follow the script and don't say swear and don't say any curse word. That will get you a 9. But does not mean that you're going to be a good agent. And actually quite the opposite. A great agent will take a conversation, shift it, move, turn, and find a way to solve the problem without following the script. But we punish the best agents now because we actually only really try to get them to follow script and script adherence. So this technology allows us to look at the conversation as a whole and understand, does the agent follow not the script, but the spirit of how the company want them to solve issues? Are they being personable if this is what they want? Are they taking ownership if this is what the company wants? And we're not looking for I take full ownership type of words, because they mean nothing. There's a way to take ownership. There's a way to take ownership without taking ownership. And that's what we're looking for. So we're building the next generation QA tool, understand the conversation. And actually we give the agent real language, real information about what they need to say differently and how they have to run the conversation differently, so they can learn and become, again, this agent of the future instead of the script following agent. A side product of that, we create the best call summaries ever, so we can tell the agents not to ever write a call summary and save this time to really be on the phone with customers instead of typing notes. The second big part of it is information, is business information. Customer service locks in um, all the business defects. And it's going to be very tactical. Your operation team decide to use a different email provider, and the deliverability decreases by 5%. You wouldn't know about that, but all of a sudden, customers are calling and saying, "I have not got my order confirmation. I didn't get a notice about my refund." All of it creates stress, makes you call customer service. No one agent will report this problem because they just got one call or two calls during the day about that. We can quickly see the trend. We have an example with one of our e-commerce customers. They have a policy which is pretty common. You can change an order in the first 30 minutes after it's placed. So it's a very common thing that you sit on your phone, you look at your emails, you got an order confirmation, and you say, "Oh my God, I shipped it to the wrong address because it was on your Apple Pay or hotel you've been in, etc." So you call customer service. You actually answer our automation and say, "Hey, I want to just change the address. I just placed the order 40 minutes ago and I want to change the address." And our automated system will say, "You can't. The order is already locked. 30 minutes passed." So of course you're not going to be happy. You're going to call. You're going to ask to speak with an agent. The agent will tell you exactly the same. What will happen is the order will have to be shipped, delivered, announced as lost. Then you ask for a return. So you call customer service again, and then you can get a new order. That's a 2-3 weeks affair for a simple change. The company knew about that. They just didn't know it's affected 4.8% of their calls. The moment they seen the data, they put a request to their engineering to extend this window for a full 24 hours. So people could actually make these changes, results in fewer calls to customer service and happier customers. That's one tiny example that probably costs business hundreds of thousands a year and got completely lost in the bowels of customer service as a problem. And the third piece is, how do we contribute back to the automation engine? And we use the data we get from these calls in order to find more opportunities to automate even more calls for the company, in which cases a human agent does not add value, and we can automate it. And how can we grab all the data, how agents answer questions, their collective knowledge base to improve the automation. So I know it was a long pitch, but three main things: next generation QA, business insights, can unlock the turn on the light in your contact center, unlock the business insights, and figure out what to automate from all the calls that don't add significant value if they're run by humans.
Gadi, one of the things that you mentioned, you said that today's modern contact center agents really need to embody the spirit of what I'm hearing is a customer-centric culture. Agents that are able and willing to block and tackle for the customer, that go beyond the script, that don't act like robots. This is really about building that culture in the place where you have the opportunity to talk to customers, to build relationships. Is this something that we can do with technology? Like, if for someone that's not really tech savvy, like how would that even look with your technology to help create that culture with the QA for the agents?
I think that the issue is not the agents. The issue is their bosses. Let's start with that. At 22 years old, 24 years old, customer service agent is usually intelligent enough to do 10x more than what they do. And this is the reason why they only stay in their job for under a year, because the job is not satisfying, and it's better to drive an Uber. At least you can listen to a good podcast. I truly believe that the agents are more capable and leaps and bounds than what we ask them to do. We're just scared as an industry. We're scared to give them more and let them try. They're absolutely technically capable. They are all Gen Zs, and they grew up with technology. They're smart people, and I think if you give them, if you create more interesting conversations for them and more interesting problems to solve, they're going to stay longer. We work with a lot of triple A's, and one of the challenges they have is that when you think of the tier three of triple A, you need somebody who's been in triple A for 5 years, because they're dealing with chain accidents in the middle of the highway in the snow. It's really complex emergency situations where only those escalates to them, and they literally have access to highway cameras so they can manage the event and save lives. And our AAA partners did not have enough longevity in the business so they can promote enough people to tier two and tier three before we came along. People would just leave, and the funnel will leak in the early stage, and they couldn't promote. They had to promote people to tier two and tier three a year early, a year too early, with not enough experience. But when we came along and made a job more interesting for an agent, all of a sudden they have no issue with that. They can actually promote enough people. They can turn customer service into career again versus being this stomping ground, a way to do something better, even if there's something better as driving an Uber. So my answer is like, trust your agents, but you need to decide that you want to give them more and give them the tools to do better. But you first decide you don't want them to be robots, because AI will do a way better job than your agents if you try to make them try to make them robots.
It seems like your view is very human centric. You see these young people in these jobs. In a way, you have empathy for them because the jobs are frustrating. And the companies are not reaping all the benefits of these people because they're keeping them sort of in these boxes. What do you say to those who believe that AI is going to completely disrupt the contact center and eventually there will be no more people working in the contact center?
Yeah, first of all, I agree that AI is completely disrupting contact center and will disrupt the contact center space. Just like automation disrupted the industry, just like the agriculture revolution disrupted the agriculture space. I think that every time there's new technology, we're disrupting ourselves. And somehow, the internet, I always use this metaphor that every time you add an item to your shopping cart online, you're actually taking a job away from somebody at the cash register. That's what we used to do 20, 30 years ago, yet we're the lowest unemployment ever, because somehow as humans, we're really good at inventing new jobs as old jobs disappear. We lost all the factory jobs, or many of the factory jobs, still the lowest unemployment in recorded history. Throughout the 5 years that we do what we do and automating over 500 million minutes, I think that I don't know a single case where an agent lost their job. Attrition is so high in the space that all our customers are still hiring. They're just hiring a little slower than they hired before. But I do think that as AI become more common, you're going to have fewer agents. You wouldn't need the 20,000 agents of United Airlines or some of these mega contact centers. You may need 7, 8,000, but they're all going to be highly trained, highly paid, people that you cannot lose. And if you cannot lose them, you're going to have to pay them much more. Today, of course, if you pay somebody minimum wage, they will leave tomorrow for another minimum wage job. But if you work for United for 20 years and you're paid $100,000 a year, because this might be the value of a great agent in 5 years, then who's going to offer you the same salary? You're the United Airlines expert. That's why you're there. And I think that you'll create much more job security and interest in this next generation. And probably we're going to create new jobs that AI will create somehow, because again, that's how it always worked.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm a United customer. So I know the difference between when my husband had the high tier phone number and then during COVID when he lost it, like the difference in the contact center and the level of agent. But I'm a United fan, so all good.
Same here.
Just some closing thoughts on why people should check out the new product from Replicant. And then we're going to get into some rapid fire.
Oh, I love that. I have rapid fire in my podcast as well. It's fun. Um, I think that the reason you can pick your reason. If you're an executive, if you listen to this podcast and you're a C-level executive, don't you want to know why people are calling you? Don't you want to fix the operational issues, the defects that cause people to call? You don't want these calls, and by the way, the callers don't want to call you too. It's really great if you can just figure out how to prevent these calls from happening altogether, and really let your customers experience your product or your services the way you planned them. Because when somebody call customer service, it's because your planning did not work. It's not because they wanted to call you, it's because you did not design a flow or misdesign something in a way that affected them. So if you're a C-level, that's what I will look at. If you're a customer service executive, you think of both of understanding why people are calling, but also think of how you upscale your agents. I don't think it's a if, I think it's a when. You will need better agents, and if you don't Like the Chinese proverb, the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The next best time is now.
Hmm.
You'll need to build these agents that you'll need in 2 years from now. You start building them now. Because you'll not be able to get them and build them this way in a week. They need the experience. So you need to point today to the agents that you want to retain and keep them as the experts as AI taking over more and more of the calls. So that's the two main areas I look at.
I love that Chinese proverb. I feel like that is so relevant for anyone in customer experience because most of us have work to do. So it's like if you're not where you want to be in business or in life, like the best time to start is right now. So it's a very positive and optimistic view. I like that. Let's do some rapid fire. Are you ready to take some quick questions?
I'll sit up in my chair. Yeah,
Okay. All right, do your stretches. Okay. Gadi, what's the most important part of your morning routine?
my coffee. This long coffee I make and drink every day.
Perfect. What do you do to relax at the end of a hectic day?
Peloton. I'm
Peloton.
on my
Mhm.
exercise bike almost every single day.
Okay, but now I have to ask you, who's your favorite coach?
Leah Hansby is my favorite coach, but also in many cases I just need to relax and I watch something on Netflix.
Nice. Okay. What, speaking of Netflix, what show are you currently streaming?
I just finished the Diplomat, so I'm in between. Season two was pretty cool. Again, on 100% on my exercise bike. I don't allow myself to watch TV that much on the couch.
Next question. Why did they only create 6 episodes? I was really annoyed about that.
It
No,
was
that,
really
don't answer
annoying.
that.
It was really annoying too, and it's kind of, and why? What did it end?
Only 6? That's not, I want more. It's so good. Okay, moving on. What's your idea of perfect happiness?
People around me, my best friends, doing something fun and engaging.
What is one mental health strategy for managing hard days?
The one I do is exercise. The other is remember that at the end we're all playing in this weird game we created for ourselves, where we create the rules, and it's really serious, but it's also just a play.
Okay. What's your favorite type of vacation?
Hiking in beautiful nature, but with really luxury or higher end residence at the end of the day.
Okay. That's a good answer. If you could have lunch with anyone dead or alive, who would it be?
I don't know. I'm not really into lunch with dead or alive people. I'm curious about a lot of people. I'm probably would love to have lunch with somebody as smart as Obama. But there's probably a lot of other people. I'll pick Obama because I really think he's cool and
Okay.
smart.
If you had to describe your outlook in one quick motto, what would it be?
Things are gonna work out.
Beautiful. Love it. If people want to learn more about you or Replicant, what's the best way to do that?
Go to replicant.com or look me up on LinkedIn, Gadi Shamia. I know my name is complicated, Gadi. Last name is Shamia. Follow me there. I talk a lot there.
Awesome. This has been so interesting and so fun. And hope you'll come back next year and talk more about all the great things happening at Replicant. All of you have been tuning into the Modern Customer Podcast. Thank you for watching and listening. Until next time. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel or follow me on social media, including Instagram, LinkedIn, X, and more.